for the karakia. Whakataka te hau ki te uru, whakataka te hau ki te tonga, kia mā kina kina ki uta, kia mā tara tara ki tai, e hi ake ana te atakura, he tio, he huka, he hauhu, tihei mauri ora. Tēnā koutou katoa, nau mai ki te hui o te Rauawa Social, Cultural and Environmental Committee, tēnei rā. Welcome to you all to the Social, Cultural and Environmental Committee. Please let me or the Democracy Advisor know if you intend on leaving the meeting, and morning tea will be at 10:30 a.m. But hopefully we might even be able to skate through, but I'm not sure. I'm eyeing the chair of grants. So apologies. Do we have any apologies this morning? Nope. Have we got anyone online? Great, so we don't have to move that. Yep, great. Do we have any conflict of interest declarations? I see none. Great. And so a confirmation of the minutes. Do we have any minutes?
Yes. It's the 11th of December.
Yes, aye. So I move the motion to move the minutes. Do I have a seconder, please? Great. Councillor Compton. Please forgive while I get my handle around this. So I now put the motion which has been moved and seconded. So those in favour, please press 1, and those against, please press 2. Mia, we just need your vote. Yeah, not a... Great. I declare the motion carried. So there are no items not on the agenda, so we'll move into public participation. Please, and public participants, we do have an expectation of respectfulness when we're submitting and for your kōrero today. So with that, can we please welcome Anne Elborn. Anne, you are welcome to take either the lectern or come up to the desk with us. And Anne, you have 5 minutes, but if you would like to leave some time for questions, that would be good too.
Good morning. My name is Anne Elborn and I'm a retired therapist. This is my husband, Peter Kerr, Mataaho. We are here to voice our concern about the Council's decision to make change rooms and toilets all gender at new council facilities and upgrades, as set out in the Rainbow Action Plan. Already in the plans to upgrade Kulburnie Pool, change rooms and toilets, there is no mention of single-sex spaces, only all-gender spaces. In the UK, recreational facilities have increasingly moved to mixed-gender toilets and change rooms. Police report shows there has been a significant increase in assaults on women and girls since these changes were implemented. In 2023, there were 16 rapes, 80 sexual assaults, and 65 incidents of voyeurism reported to the police at such facilities. Some statistics put the figure as high as 90% in terms of women being assaulted in mixed gender as opposed to single-sex facilities. Unless you are completely naive, this should come as no surprise. In 1987, I was changing after a swim at the Auckland Hospital staff pool. There was less people around than usual as Auckland Round the Bays event was on, and it was the nurse's handover time. A masked man entered the change room with the intention of sexually assaulting me. When I first saw him, I thought he was going to kill me. Unsurprisingly, the idea of an all-gender change room and toilets is deeply unnerving to me. I am not alone in this. I have many anecdotes from women in Wellington who have felt huge discomfort finding men in their toilets or change rooms. The public doesn't support the move from single-sex to all-gender change rooms. Since 2019, 5 Curia polls have asked New Zealanders about this, and not one of them showed majority support for all-gender facilities. The previous council failed to consult with Wellingtonians on what is a significant change. They didn't ask women like me who'd been assaulted in a change room. They didn't ask rape victims or victims of childhood sexual abuse. They didn't consult Muslim women or men and women from non-Western cultures. They didn't consult teenage girls who tend to be extremely self-conscious about their developing bodies. It is fanciful to think that these groups would feel comfortable with these changes. It seems that the last council didn't even consult the users of the recreational facilities. A group of women has leafleted about these changes outside Freiburg and called Burnie Pool. Pool users were surprised to hear of the move to all-gender facilities, and the majority of them were against this. Ironically, in foisting these changes upon the public, the council is inadvertently making things worse for trans people, who many of us support. By the way, council should know that currently there is a trans woman who using the female change room at Freiburg Pool. A number of women have complained, but to no avail. One woman wrote to council in early December, but is yet to hear back as whether the council will guarantee and enforce single-sex spaces. I am asking you to ensure single-sex spaces at council facilities are preserved and that council staff are directed to enforce this. The Human Rights Act sets out provision for single-sex spaces for women. The council must ensure this happens. Across the Western world, legal cases are being taken against public entities who fail to provide single-sex spaces. For example, in the UK, a group of nurses who objected to a male who identified as a female using the women's change room took legal action against the NH Trust. They won their case. As a council, are you prepared for legal action which will follow due to these policies? Providing all-gender change rooms and toilets and failing to preserve single-sex spaces is a serious error of judgment. This council will be complicit in the inevitable harm that will follow if you do not reverse course. Thank you.
Thank you, Anne, for your submission today. And I'm sure if you do touch base with our officers, if you give your email to them, they will be able to inform you of our plans for the change rooms. Thank you. Great. So I now ask Liam Prince and Rose Doig to come to the either the lectern, or it might be easier for you at the end of the table.
Oh, tēnā tātou katoa. Kia ora, thank you for the opportunity to speak today. My name's Liam Prince. I'm a composting operations manager at KaiCycle.
Tēnā koutou, I'm Rose Doig and I'm a community farm manager at KaiCycle.
So we just today wanted to speak to the agenda item later today around our licence renewal. We are also aware that you'll be speaking to the Waste Minimisation Fund, but we just wanted to focus on the licence renewal and what that has enabled for having a licence over the last 10 years. What's that has enabled us to do? So I'll pass over to Rose.
Kia ora. So KaiCycle Urban Farm is 1,200 square metre, quite a small area in Newtown on Hospital Road, where we do all of our gardening and community and composting operations. And we've been on that site, which is council land, so we have that licence agreement with council to allow us to do our operations on that site. And we've been there for 10 years now, which is quite a huge milestone, and we had a wonderful celebration last year to acknowledge that, and we were really honoured to have Taranaki whānui there to help us celebrate such a big achievement, and lots of members of our community over the past 10 years, including some members of council.
Yeah, so obviously, one of the big things we're involved in is composting and collecting organic waste. And we do this to help to reduce waste to landfill, to reduce our city's emissions, to provide services for Wellingtonians to take tangible climate action, to help restore the soils in our city, and also just to close the loop and demonstrate what a circular and regenerative food system can look like. So we are collecting food scraps from over 220 households, businesses and organisations around Wellington. And we do that primarily by using e-bikes and trailer, which you can see here. You might have seen them around town. And it's a great way for us to get out and do this in a low emissions way. It's probably our best form of marketing as well. We also, as well as the bike collections, we have some drop-off hubs and an expanding network of these drop-off hubs where people can bring their food scraps to us. And we're diverting roughly 35 tonnes at the moment of food scraps from landfill. We're turning those food scraps into, in the last year, we've done over 20,000 litres of compost. 5,000 of those litres were donated to other community gardens, schools, other projects. And we're not just making any old compost, we're really focused on making the highest quality, living, biologically diverse and rich compost that we can possibly make. We also have plans to expand our composting services to new sites, setting up new infrastructure, and we're particularly keen to target more apartments, multi-unit dwellings, and in the central city, and more businesses as well. And we're really keen to work with council on increasing access to composting services for more Wellingtonians as well.
So we're committed to growing in a way that regenerates and looks after the whenua. So we incorporate lots of organic growing practices and climate-friendly growing practices in the way that we're growing kai. And then the kai that we're growing, over 50% of it we donate to organisations in the community who provide soup or meals to people who would otherwise not have access to organically grown and nutrient-dense kai. So last year we were able to donate over 300 kilograms of food that we'd grown in Newtown. A lot of it went to people who live in Newtown, so that was really nice to have that circularity and giving back to the community in that way.
We're also pursuing a huaparakori verification. So this is a kaupapa Māori organic growing verification, and it is supposedly the first Indigenous organic verification system in the world. So we're really honoured and proud to be doing this. So. It is also part of Wellington City Council's Food Future Plan that there is huaparakori principles being followed in the way food is grown in this region and in the city. So we're really proud to be aligned on that as well. It was an obvious choice for us to pursue this because it's just a much better fit than the other organic verifications. And it also is just a really great way for us to practically honour Te Tiriti and to protect the taiao in a way that makes sense on this land and in this country.
So what we're able to do at KaiCycle is provide a space for people to become involved in education and tangible climate action. So one of the ways that we do this is through hosting educational workshops. We also have lots of school groups and other groups come to visit us and have an experience in the garden from all ages. Last year we hosted every Year 9 from Wellington High School who spent some time with us doing hands-on activities in the gardening and learning about food resilience and what it would look like to have a food resilient pōneke. We also engage with a lot of volunteers, so education through volunteering sessions. We have thousands of volunteers, or over 1,000 volunteers every year who come to us wanting a space to make practical change, to meet and connect with people and feel that they're contributing to building the world that they want to see and supporting the community. So we engage with people in a lot of different ways. And outside of these activities, we also have people engaging with thousands of people engaging with us who just enjoy being in the space. We have kindy kids from next door who come over weekly. We have a group of people with intellectual disabilities who spend time with us in the Mara every fortnight, and all of our composting customers, people who come to events, the other Kai orgs in Wellington. So we have a lot of interest in what we do, and we really see a huge demand for spaces like Kai Cycle where people can engage in a hands-on and tangible way and really see the impact that they're having.
And we're always open, people can come and go, people who work nearby, people who are receiving treatment at the hospital. It is a space for them to come and heal and just be out in nature. And so with that, just thank you so much. The next, having a license again for another 5+ years will just make all the difference for us to continue what we're doing. And we would also just like to extend the invitation to all of you to come and visit us anytime. We have multiple volunteer sessions every week, an open day once a month on a Saturday, and perhaps we could even organise a counsellor session so we can really show you around and show you what we do. We'd love to do that. So thank you so much. Kia ora.
Kia ora.
Thank you, Liam and Rose. Appreciate your work. We have a question from Councillor Calvert.
Thank you, and I really appreciate the work that you do. If you had an opportunity, where would be your next target area in the city?
Well, there's, I don't know. I mean, do you mean in terms of composting or?
Yeah, just sort of setting up. Have you, I know you've well established a new town and you talked about inner city, but, sort of other potentially other parts. Have you scouted around or have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, we've had a few opportunities over the years that have just escaped our grasp, but we at the moment we have an opportunity to set up a site in Rongotai near the airport in collaboration with a site the airport owns actually. So that would be a great way to extend out into the eastern suburbs. But we're always looking for opportunities for small parcels of land that are underutilised that we can hopefully make use of, grow some food, do some composting, make those things available for the locals. I mean, another example is we've looked at Kumutoto Park above the Terrace Tunnel. There's a great forest restoration, stream restoration project there who are really keen to work with us. But there's also the potential new terrace tunnel going in there, so that's a bit of a question mark. But always looking for opportunities.
Thank you.
Mayor Little, thank you.
Thanks. Well, congratulations on reaching 10 years, and thank you for what you do. Looks pretty amazing. I'm very keen to come along and have a look. One slightly prosaic question, one just about what the future looks like. I just noticed in the thing that your current licence expired in September. Just curious to know. And not about blame or anything, just how the delay in getting the renewal going. And then secondly, what in terms of the volume of stuff that you're taking for composting stuff, what is your capacity to increase that, to receive and accept more waste for that process?
Yeah, great questions, thank you. So we have been working with the council since September and prior to September to get that licence renewal going. So we've had a number of conversations since, which is hence the delay or just working through that process. But
I think potentially there was just an internal council delay initially with that, but we've also taken the opportunity to propose a few new things, or if there were any amendments to make to that licence. That shouldn't have necessarily affected when the licence can be discussed. But I don't think there's any particular reason for that delay. In terms of composting, we're pretty near capacity at our site in Newtown for composting. We definitely do a little bit more, shuffle things around, add some more composting infrastructure. But really the key thing for us to expand more would be to set up new sites. And we can set up the smallest site with just a few boxes, or we could set up a much bigger site and do a lot more. And it's really, that's probably the biggest the biggest kind of limitation to our increase in capacity. There's no shortage of demand in Wellington for people who want composting services. At one point, we had close to 1,000 people on our waiting list to receive collections, mostly residents. But yeah, we're always keen to expand. We found that the biggest challenge to find new sites to do more of this. So yeah, hence looking for more spaces. Yeah.
Great. Kia ora. Thank you, Liam, and thank you, Rose. And can you take back to Kai Cycle a big thank you for all the mahi from all of us. And yeah, great that you came in today. And we look forward to your lease paper later on. And I'm sure you will be notified of the next stage of the process. Great.
Kia ora. Thank you so much.
Tēnā korua. Great, team. So now we will adjourn the Te Rauawa Social, Cultural and Environment Committee and reconvene following the conclusion of the Te Mataaho or Te Hapori Grants Subcommittee. We don't have a rough time on that. We're thinking half an hour, 45 minutes. Great. Kia ora. Just give us Thank you.
Done it. Right. I declare the motion carried unanimously. Now, here's my favourite bit of the paper. All items are on the agenda. I hate double negatives. Right, through that. Now, we have a personal explanation from Councillor Chung. Councillor Chung, so before we move to public participation, I understand Councillor Chung would like to make a personal explanation, which I'm permitting under Standing Order 20.11. Councillor Chung.
Thank you very much. At the last Grants Committee in December, my grandniece applied for a grant from the Wellington City Council for a poetry book. I have not seen her for many years and I have no association with what she does. So therefore, I didn't consider that I had conflict of interest. And so I consulted with Dem Services to ask them what the procedure was, and they confirmed that it was my decision on whether a conflict of interest was actually there or not. However, I understand that there is always the perception of this, and people have mentioned to me that there is a perception that because our names are the same, that there may actually be a conflict of interest. So therefore, I would like to state unequivocally that I don't consider that there was, but I apologise for not actually mentioning it at the last meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Right, so we'll now move to public participation, and I'd like to welcome Emily Newmarch from Warrenamani. You have, is it 10 minutes? Yes, 10 minutes. If you could allow some time for questions at the end, that would be in your interest and ours. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. This is my first time in this room, so I'm a little bit nervous. But I listened to your last meeting, and I'd like to start by responding first to the question you guys raised about organisational scale and the suggestion that because we're a large organisation that we should just simply fund this on our own. So while we are an established practice, we're not a firm of thousands. We're a firm of just under 300 people, not 3,000 or 4,000 like some engineering consultancies that also operate. We are large for an architecture practice, but not large in the context of organisations that operate in the design and construction industry. We do, however, have a large portfolio, and that's because we've been around for over 70 years. And we're really proud of the role that we've played in Wellington with projects like the Michael Fowler Centre, Supreme Court, and new archives building, which is soon going to be open to the public. But none of these projects were delivered alone, and our history is built on collaboration with councils, contractors, mana whenua, consultants and communities, and that approach is at the heart of this proposal. What excites us about this project isn't just simply the recording of metrics, it's the opportunity to go deeper and to understand the stakeholder dynamics that unlocked waste reduction. And so this approach about collaboration is about unlocking those decisions, relationships and moments of alignment that made change possible, and capturing that knowledge is one of the most tangible and valuable outcomes we see from what we're proposing. In terms of other tangible outcomes and benefits, the primary output is a case study, but this is not just a static report. We see it as a vehicle for exploring a real-world project in depth in a way that is practical, honest, and transferable. Crucially, the work is designed to be repeatable, so we're proposing a report template that your team within the council can use again, enabling consistent, transparent data collection across future projects without needing to reinvent the process each time or rely on multiple external reporting frameworks. And this isn't something we want to do to council, it's something we want to do with council. Involving the Wellington City Council team directly ensures that the knowledge builds capability and creates shared ownership of these outcomes. We will also be a visible voice to share what we have learned through presentations and workshops within the community and are open to exploring what format that looks like. And I want to finish by speaking to the idea of leadership. This proposal is fundamentally about progress over profit. It's about investing in the development of shareable information that lifts the whole industry, not just one organisation and not just one project. Large organisations do have a responsibility to lead, but leadership doesn't mean acting alone. It means using our position to create tools, knowledge and pathways that others can access and build upon. And Wellington, as the capital of New Zealand, has a unique role to play. There is an opportunity here to demonstrate awareness of global initiatives while showing that they can be meaningfully adopted and implemented within a local context. So this isn't about reinventing the wheel and talking about what we know works, adapting to the realities of our market and making it usable, not just aspirational, but something that's really actionable. So with your support, this project becomes more than just a single case study. It becomes a precedent for collaboration, transparency and leadership, and a practical step forward towards a more informed and effective approach to waste reduction within the built environment across the city and region. So thank you. Any questions?
I think Councillor Foon has a question.
Two questions, if possible, Emma. What is different to your proposal, do you see, than what's already out there? And the second question is, how do you propose to do that transparency so that other people can use your findings over time?
Mm-hmm. Yep. So waste is conventionally treated quite quantitatively and about recording tonnes of waste diverted. What's different is about going into those dynamics between those organisations and what enabled waste to be reduced. The timing of those decisions is often really key, I see this quite frequently in sustainability, that if it happens too late, it doesn't happen at all. And it's we'll learn better next time, which often doesn't come across, or it's locked into specific individuals and relies on their presence. And so that overlap between the quantitative and the qualitative aspects of what happened on a project. The transparency part is about recording out key information and the key way of disclosing data so that it happens consistently. Oftentimes it's reported inconsistently, and it makes it really difficult to compare one project to another, and there's no strong precedent that exists out there on a way of recording it out. Both of the projects that I put in as options are Green Star, and that's a good starting position, but can definitely expand broader to look at some of the waste reduction initiatives that are more global, that exist in other markets, and working out how to fit those within our market.
Great, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Emily. Now, Councillor Riuti has a question.
Thank you, Emily. I'm impressed by the commitment that will bring to the council and to processes. I just want to ask though, Warrenamani, do you do work beyond in the community of Wellington? So sponsorships,
Yep.
scholarships.
Yep, we sponsor a number of events and sort of sponsors and organisations. We also volunteer our time with to students at Victoria University. So I've currently got 2 students within the office completing their Masters of Building Science, where we've brought them in for the summer, and we do this regularly. I'm a product of that. I was doing my PhD with them, and so I did that with them for 3 years, and that's just them bringing in and opening their doors. But we do financially contribute as well to organisations and support things like the Green Building Council as well, and other sustainability initiatives. We do other parts with our clients or partnerships around like tree planting and going out to the community as well, so that it's visible too.
Thank you, Emily. Are there any further questions? No? Well, thank you very much for your time and the detail you've gone into. It's been very helpful. And some of the great buildings you have designed in Wellington, and, well, not you personally, but your company. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
And now I'd like to welcome Georgie Ferrari from the Sustainability Trust. So, Georgie, you have 10 minutes if you're allowed to. Yeah, you know the form. Okay.
Kia ora. Thank you, Chair and committee members of the Grant Subcommittee. I'm Georgie Ferrari from Sustainability Trust, and I'm here today because I am concerned about the direction signalled in the Waste Minimisation Fund report that was before councillors for this meeting, particularly on pages 14 and 15, and the recommendation that the fund should support large commercial entities or applicants. Let me start by being very clear. I'm not here to argue that reducing construction and demolition waste is unimportant. I believe it's absolutely critical, and nor am I personally being critical of the 2 applicants, Naylor Love and Warren and Mahoney. I'm looking more at a philosophical approach to the fund that I want to talk about. And so what I'm here to question is the logic and fairness behind directing public waste levy funds to multi-million-dollar for-profit entities, while community organisations are forced to compete with the same limited fund or pool of funds. The council report before you today admits the problem and then proceeds anyway. The report explicitly acknowledges there is a reputational risk to council in funding for-profit entities, and that doing so limits funds for not-for-profit applicants. It even notes that there's a risk of negative public perception, and that funding for-profit entities can reduce access to community applicants who may rely on funding for their ongoing sustainability. So council officers already know that there is a problem, and the report states it plainly. But instead of treating it as a serious policy issue for Wellington City Council, an equity issue, I would argue, it treats it potentially as a communications or a PR issue. The most concerning statement in the report for me is in page 36, where paragraph 36, where officers say, while some applicants may appear capable of progressing projects without council support, there is no regulatory requirement for businesses to reduce waste. This is logic that I would like to challenge today, because effectively it says businesses aren't required to do the right thing, so public funds should pay for them to do it. This is, I believe, a backwards incentive structure. A lack of regulation does not create an entitlement to subsidy. It is not a justification for using public money to underwrite corporate ethics. I would suggest there is no regulatory imperative for commercial entities to reduce waste. If there is no regulatory imperative for commercial entities to reduce waste, then Council has a range of policy tools to address that through procurement standards, consenting expectations, waste bylaws, and leadership requirements. But the solution should not be, let's use a community waste minimisation fund to financially reward entities for voluntary action. This fund is meant to serve public benefit, not private business optimisation. The report also says these projects will demonstrate efficiencies that translate to reduced costs, and that cost savings will drive uptake across the sector. In other words, it is acknowledged that the primary motivator is cost savings. And so I want to simply ask, if these projects deliver cost savings, why are they not being funded as normal business investment? Why is Council being asked to subsidise commercial firms to develop tools and processes that will directly improve their profitability and market advantage? Sustainability Trust cannot compete in the same funding pool, and here's the part that's most important for me to say today. Sustainability Trust's Curtin Bank is exactly the kind of initiative the Waste Minimisation Fund was created for, in my humble opinion. The Curtin Bank has been operating since 2010, and over the last 15 years, Sustainability Trust has invested over $1 million of our own funds, created through our own social enterprise initiatives, into the Wellington Curtin Bank. And the Curtin Bank has diverted tens of thousands of tonnes of material from landfill. Since our inception, we've diverted approximately 142,000 tonnes of fabric waste from landfill. That is the equivalent of the weight of about 100 cars dumped into landfill. This is not theoretical, it is not a case study, it's not a toolkit, it's not an app. This is direct diversion year after year, creating real waste minimisation outcomes in the community in Wellington City. And yet initiatives like Curtin Bank are now being asked to compete against multi-million-dollar for-profit entities. And we cannot compete in the same funding pool, not because our outcomes are weaker, but because our resources are. A commercial entity can write a grant application with paid staff, paid consultants, and in-kind time valued at tens of thousands of dollars. And that in-kind contribution is then used as evidence of commitment. But community organisations contribute in-kind time and cash constantly for years, and it is treated as normal. This is not an equal contest. And if Council continues down this pathway, I think it will steadily erode the ability of community-led waste minimisation initiatives to survive. Co-funding is not a fairness test. The report argues that funding for-profit entities is justified because these applicants are contributing their own funds. For Naylor Love, officers note $30,000 of in-kind project management time. For Warren Marnie, $6,000 towards workshop delivery. But I want to point out something important. Community organisations have been co-funding waste minimisation for decades. As I have noted, Sus Trust alone has put in over $1 million, and last financial year alone, 4,000 hours of volunteer time was contributed. So co-funding is not a justification. It is not evidence that a project deserves public subsidy. If anything, it highlights a double standard. Commercial applicants are praised for contributing relatively small amounts, while community initiatives quietly carry massive co-investment year after year. And the national picture shows exactly where this leads. A 2024 report by Hapori, prepared for the Ministry for the Environment on waste levy funding, found that over $101 million of the $141 million invested by the fund of waste minimisation has gone to commercial applicants. It found that community enterprises have received only just under 19 million of contestable waste levy funding, and that has largely been in areas where councils and commercial applicants have limited involvement. So the national pattern is already clear. Where commercial entities are allowed to compete in the same contestable pool, the money flows towards commercial applicants, not because they are necessarily delivering greater public value, but because they are better resourced, better positioned, and structurally advantaged. Council's own strategic direction, including the Waste Management and Minimisation Plan and Te Atakura First to Zero, consistently emphasise working with communities, strengthening community capability, building long-term collective change. And this is what Sustainability Trust and the Curtin Bank does. And this is what will be squeezed out if the fund increasingly becomes a tool for industry capability building. So I want to finish with a practical recommendation. If Council wishes to fund commercial entities, and I do acknowledge there may be cases where this is appropriate, then I strongly recommend Council establish two separate funds: a Community Waste Minimisation Fund for not-for-profit, community-led initiatives, and a Commercial Innovation Fund for for-profit applicants and industry-led initiatives, because like should be assessed against like. Community organisations should not be competing with multi-million-dollar firms for the same pool of public waste levy funding. This is the only way that Council can assure community initiatives are protected, equity is upheld, and the fund remains true to its purpose. In closing, I want to say again, Sus Trust supports minimisation in the C&D, waste minimisation in the C&D sector, but we do not support logic that says the absence of regulation justifies public subsidy, or that commercial entities should draw from the same funding pool that a community entity relies on. I'm asking for you to treat this not as a communication or PR issue, but as a structural fairness issue, because once community-led programs like the Curtin Bank are forced out, we won't come back. Ngā mihi nui, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. We have time for one question. Councillor Foon.
Yeah. Thank you, Georgie, for coming in today and for preparing that for us to understand. Just if the funding, what is the landscape like to get other funding for the Curtin Bank at the moment?
Yeah, it's pretty bleak. So we've been knocked back by a number of what we've gone for. Lotteries funding, we were knocked back. We've gone again for lotteries funding, so we've got another application in for the next round. We've applied probably for 15 different grants over the last 6 months, and the most we've got is from TG McCarthy, which is $10,000. The Curtin Bank costs $230,000 at a bare minimum to run per annum, and so we're currently operating on $10,000 from TG and $13,000 from the Social and Rec Fund at WCC. That is the only funds we have available for us at the moment. So come June 30, we will have to make some really serious decisions about the future of Wellington Curtin Bank.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Georgie, and thank you for a very good presentation, very clear and helpful. Thank you. I'd now like to call on Grant Hawthorne from Naylor Love. So, Grant, you have 10 minutes, usual thing, please allow some time for questions at the end. Thank you.
Ka whai. Thank you very much, Chair, and kia ora to the subcommittee. Thank you very much. My name's Grant Hawthorne. I'm Environmental Manager for the...
Could you just speak a little bit closer to the mic?
Sorry, I'm not very accustomed to talking with mics. I'll do my best. And just wanted to quickly acknowledge the Sustainability Trust and Georgie's great little piece there. I've got to admit, I'm a big fan of Sustainability Trust, but I do wish I wasn't talking right after that piece. Kia ora. I'm the Environmental Manager for Wellington Region, Naylor Love. My role focuses on primarily waste reduction on our projects and the work that we carry out, as well as emissions reduction and energy efficiency. Here to talk today, just to summarise, first off, also thank you very much. Very excited to be here, but this is my first time talking in front of a subcommittee like this, so pardon the nerves. I want to say thank you for the opportunity to further to try and support our application. It's something that I really strongly believe in. I think the value that I can give here is just to quickly summarise the points, acknowledging the waste team here within Wellington City Council, giving me further opportunities to answer questions, provide supplementary information. So I'll summarise, and then I'm hoping to have a chance just to discuss and acknowledge any questions that the subcommittee may have regarding this proposition. So 4 points just to quickly propose. Designing out waste when it comes to waste. I've worked in waste minimisation for let's round up to 5 years at the moment. It's a strong passion to me, sustainability in general. Throughout that whole journey, designing out waste is considered top of the hierarchy. It's a very aspirational state to get to. All waste that we deal with is materials that have been extracted from the environment. We've spent time and energy processing them into end products. They're products that have been purchased, they've been transported to a site to then only all be wasted. All of that environmental impact, economic impact has gone to waste. Designing out waste is the holy grail. It's both the next step for a lot of parts of the industry, and it's also the final step. So it's really aspirational. It's something that gets me personally really excited. This opportunity is very high on my list. To use BIM to design out waste is considered within the industry a real opportunity. It's understood. There's studies saying as much, but I've never worked anywhere where we have BIM capability to actually apply it into real world practice. So that's kind of talking to the second point here around Naylor Love being very well placed to do this. We have in-house BIM and design capability. We have a BIM team who is also very excited and passionate for this project. But not only that, we have the design half of the project, but we also have the construction team that actually delivers the design, does the work. Both parts have practical experience in delivering construction projects. They're also able to communicate with each other, provide feedback and work through issues and the like. So it's not simply receiving a set of drawings and then not going and then not having that level of detail. And on top of that, I just want to talk again to our sustainability base as well. Me as a let's call me a subject matter expert on the case within Naylor Love, but we've been practicing sustainable construction for years now. We've got a national target of 70% waste diversion across all of our projects. In the Wellington region, last year we diverted 4,000 tonnes of waste from landfill. Like I said, I believe that we're quite competent at recycling waste and diverting it from landfill. I want to take us the step above to be able to design that waste out, completely eliminate it. A question was asked around kind of our reach and the ability to distribute learnings and to actually influence and uplift the industry. I think Naylor Love, well, I'm confident Naylor Love is incredibly well connected. We've got very strong networks, being a large nationwide company. Both learnings from this region will be expanded out within Naylor Love, but then as far as influencing and uplifting and educating the entire industry, we've been in discussions with Brands, which is the Building Research Association of New Zealand. They've endorsed this work and they've said that they would be happy to help us circulate and spread these learnings out across the industry. I've had similar discussions with the New Zealand Institute of Architecture, who's also said that they'd be happy to help us circulate these learnings, and then we can also reach architects as well as just construction parts. While we've got a commitment from them and also from Wellington City Council, who very much appreciate the support of circulating these learnings. We have also got members of within our organisation, members of staff who have leadership positions within organisations like Wastemans, Engineering New Zealand, and sitting on the board for Master Builders New Zealand. So I believe that our reach is, as we can reach every single part of the industry and support them there. But then I think addressing the real question is why should a company like Naylor Love receive funding? Why can't we just fund it ourselves? I think the first point to that question is just to point out, sorry, I transitioned the slide just with a little bit more detail about the specific, this question specifically. Naylor Love does already invest quite heavily in sustainability. I think a point was made before around how, large companies should lead with best practice in their industry, and I believe that Naylor Love is currently doing that. They have staff like myself, they invest in recycling and diversion on our projects, education for staff and other such initiatives. This funding is basically to unlock the time from the BIM team. Unlike myself, my role is considered overhead for the organisation. The BIM team is very much tied to projects. They're tied to margin, they're tied to projects. They can't afford to work on work on something like this that isn't tied directly to a project, and also to acknowledge at the moment they are incredibly busy. A member of their staff moved up to Hamilton, so they're understaffed at the moment. When we were first talking, after the subcommittee on the 18th of December, we did have the discussion, can we try and fit this along in the background as a passion project? While we'd hoped that would be the case, it's turned out they simply cannot spare the time without funding to justify taking them off projects for a period of time. And then just the final point, if we don't receive the funding here, Naylor Love as an organisation will continue on, but this project that I very strongly believe in will unfortunately not be able to be trialled at this time. We'll keep the knowledge, we'll keep the proposal, we'll keep the opportunity, but it will sit on the back burner until we can find another opportunity or make a business case to fund it. So that's a brief summary, but I'd really like to hear any questions or provide any further context in the 3.5 minutes we have left. Thank you.
Thank you, Grant. So we have a couple of questions. I'll just start off with Councillor Foon, who's on fire this morning.
Thank you, Chair. Just what is the key difference to what you're proposing with this that's not already out there on the market?
I'd say it's applying it to the real world. BIM we use BIM for a lot of things on our projects. We use it, so a BIM is a 3D digital design of a building effectively. We use it for things like layout and planning of pipes and services, electrical cables and the likes on projects. But I think it's considered still quite an emerging technology, and a lot of those theoretical opportunities to design out waste specifically and optimise a build, they might be theoretically understood by somebody like myself, but they're not being applied, and we have a really hard time trying to get them applied to projects because it is seen as additional work. If we go to a client at the moment and say, hey, there may be an opportunity here to optimise your exterior cladding layout, we may save money, we may reduce overorder. At the moment, you may understand as clients, if somebody comes to you with a nice pitch like that, it sounds like scope creep. You're maybe inclined to say no, if that answers your question.
I guess just to back that up, wouldn't your sector kind of see that designing out waste would minimise costs and that would be the driver?
I say that about all aspects of sustainability. I think that being environmentally sustainable is being financially sustainable. Yeah, it's very much a drum that I beat a lot. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's a widely accepted perception at the moment, but we're very short on data too. It's hard to prove these things, especially around cost and time and effort. So yeah, it's a fair question.
Great, thanks, Grant.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So we have 2 more questions. So please, Councillor Chung, a quick question.
Thanks, Grant. A couple of questions very quickly. This BIM software...
One question.
Okay. This BIM software, is that actually being used by other organisations at the moment? And what results have they actually come up with? Like, have they come up with a percentage of savings that they can make? What's your experience?
So BIM is widely used for a lot of different applications. So if you imagine our team creates the BIM model of a building like this building, typically specialist trades, subcontractors and suppliers will provide portions of that build. So say the timber frames before they're produced, our supplier can create a model of those timber frames that we can apply directly into the build. So it is widely used, but it's mostly used for kind of design and communication and planning at the moment. It's this lens on optimising a build to use less materials is not practice.
So thank you. Now, Councillor Osborne has one last question, hopefully a short one.
Always, Chair. Kia ora, Grant. Thanks for your submission and thanks for your passion about sustainability. It's great to see. Hey, real quick question. Naylor Love, obviously a really big company, hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue. What things does Naylor Love do in terms of its corporate responsibility in terms of giving back to the community?
I wouldn't have a confident, definitive list. Truth be told, I might not be the right person to ask. I focus on sustainability specifically. Sorry if that sounds like a cop-out question. If I had the opportunity to follow up with the spiel from the parts of the organisation that do focus on that. I know that we are heavily involved with charity groups like Mates in Construction, which is suicide awareness and prevention. We also do Big Brother, Big Sister. These just listing ones that I've heard of. I should also acknowledge I've been at the organisation for about 7 months, so still relatively new to a lot of these things. We have volunteer days and the likes, but it definitely wouldn't be an exhaustive list. Sorry, I couldn't confidently answer that question.
August, might I suggest you introduce yourself to Georgie back there?
Yes, I hope I get to have conversations with Georgie Leah Manrose. Yeah.
Thank you very much for coming in this morning. Really appreciate it because it's a very technical, interesting and important subject for us all. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
So we're going to just have an early morning tea because there is some, I think Councillor Foon wants to work on an amendment to her amendment, is that right? So it's going to be a quick morning tea. Is 10 minutes enough for you? Yep, okay, so we're going to come back at 10:30 on the dot. Renee Rushton, who is the Manager of Waste Minimisation, and Beth Knightley to introduce the report on the Waste Minimisation Fund. Just before you start, I'd just like to thank you, Renee, for your fantastic, both your report and the slides. I thought they were, I'm hypercritical of all those of words and the abuse of the English language, and I thought it was a fantastic report, clear, to the point, and I'm very grateful. Thank you. Over to you.
Kia ora, councillors. I'd just like to make a few words before we move to questions. I'd just like to give a recap of how and why we're here today. So the Waste Minimisation Fund criteria was updated last year after quite an extensive process and workshops with both the Grant Subcommittee and the equivalent to the Social, Cultural Environment Committee. It was a very extensive process and it resulted in quite reasonably significant changes. What that means is we now have a criteria that focuses very much on objectively on what I would call bang for buck, which is applications that will provide the most influence at the very top of the waste hierarchy. That has resulted in changes to the recommendations that officers have made to the committee in terms of the nature of the funds and grants being applied for. The slides that have been provided by the team do show, in my view, really how carefully and thoughtfully they assess all of the applicants to make sure that they comply with the criteria and that they will really provide that level of change that we are looking for with this grant. In my very short time in this role, 6 weeks now, I can see the complexity of the issues and the challenges that are faced by all participants in the sector, and I do really feel for that. We understand the importance and the mahi that are done by the not-for-profit sector as well, and in that regard we are trying very hard to provide a proportionate balance between, in the grant recommendations, between applications that are for-profit and applications that are not, but ultimately giving regard to the criteria and, again, as I say, that bang for buck. As I said, the criteria that we are now working with provides the opportunity to create real change in areas of waste, even if there are limited, particularly where there is limited evidence available, and that is why we have made the recommendations that we have. And from that, I will hand back to you, Chair, and open for any questions.
Thank you, Beth. So, does anyone have any questions? Councillor Al-Rubaihi first.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you so much. I would just like to commend you on all the mahi that's been done, and also when we asked for more work of you last grants subcommittee. So I really, really appreciate your time and effort on that. Just a quick question and clarification. Can I confirm that there will be government changes coming up shortly around changing the waste minimisation sort of funding criteria from the Ministry for Environment?
So the government has signalled that it will create change in that area, and that change is quite significant. We do not have a bill yet, so whilst they've signalled these changes, we don't know if they will happen. They have said that they want to introduce a change before the election, and the nature of the change, as I said, is quite significant in that it really does open up the statutory permitted use of the Waste Minimisation Fund to categories significantly wider than they are now.
Great. And just one quick follow-up, and will then officers come to us by the time, and give us ample time to make any recommendations or thoughts or input into that?
We absolutely will. As part of the changes that we're making as a team, we'll also be making sure that the budgets for all waste minimisation activity are approved by elected members through the annual plan process as well.
Fantastic, thank you.
Can I just clarify that what Councillor Al-Rubai is asking about is the waste levy, not the Waste Minimisation Fund. So the Waste Minimisation Fund is funded, financed by the waste levy, but the waste levy is much larger, and the Waste Minimisation Fund is a very small component that is funded out of the waste levy.
Are you talking about All of the names are basically exactly the same, but they mean quite different things. What I'm talking about is the money we receive from the Ministry of Environment, which take based on a proportion of our gate fees, which we receive a significant amount every year. The legislative change that is proposed will really open up the use of that money.
Thank you. So just, councillors, one question each, unless you get special permission from me. Not looking at anyone in particular.
Apologies, Chair.
And so, no, I'd just like to call on Councillor Foon for her one question.
Yeah, kia ora, and thank you for the work and the mahi. Just my question is just, have we double-checked that the applicants haven't also gone around the region for others' waste minimisation funds?
The question is asked, what other funding is available, or what other funds have you applied to? And I think Sustainability Trust listed the other applications that they were applying for, but the other, Nailo Love and Warren Mani didn't declare any other applications they were applying for. Thank you.
Thank you. And now, Councillor Chung, one question. And I'm really listening to you this time because last time you got away with two.
One question. Georgie's Ferrari's comment that we should actually have two funds. We should have one fund for large organisations, for-profit organisations, and another one for not-for-profit organisations. Do you think this would make any difference? Because if you're looking at the same pool of money and you separate that into two different pools, will it make any difference to the way you process the applications?
Look, I can see some merit in this. And I can see that there could be some benefits from doing it this way. However, I think given that we reviewed the fund in just last year, and we put a lot of work into that, and officers are actually really confident that the way that we're assessing the applications that are coming in, and we're roughly balancing between not-for-profit and for-profit is working really well. We recommended $110,000 for not-for-profits this round and $103,000 for not-for-profits. We had a refund from a previous round, so there's a bit more than 200 in there. But yeah, we just really feel confident that the way things are working now is working really well, and we'd prefer not to revisit that.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. And Councillor Osborne has the question.
Thank you, Chair. Look, forgive me, I shouldn't really be asking this question, but can you just explain for the committee, just at a really high level, what is the criteria that you use to assess the projects in this new updated criteria that you've developed?
So the primary criteria, which is all in the slides that Nicola was referring to, and the paper, is do the projects target their waste minimisation efforts at the top of the waste hierarchy. So the top of the waste hierarchy is looking at reduce, so things that will design out waste so that the waste doesn't exist. So if we design out waste, then we don't have to consider spending money on downstream solutions. So that's our primary concern. Reuse is the second tier. That's also important so that the things that we're using stay in use for as long as possible. Other criteria that we look at are, is the project going to result in measurable impact? Is it scalable? There's a whole list of criteria that are on the website, but those are kind of our top two criteria that we're looking at. Does that answer the question?
There's...
Are you just giving a clarification, or are you asking another question?
Just a clarification, Chair. There's sort of a matrix of value you place on those things as you go down, in terms of reducing, or removing, sorry, was 50% importance, reuse is 25%.
Prioritisation is given to the waste hierarchy, reduce and reuse, so those are considered the most important, and then the other criteria are all considered as well. So it's not necessarily a 50% or otherwise, it's just if it's addressing those two things, then that's something that we're really looking closely at. Yeah.
Thank you. So we have one more question from Councillor Rewity.
Thank you, Chair. I was going to ask, is there an external advisory panel? Sort of how many people are on it, how often? And do the external advisory panel, how do they work within the criteria and applying it to their decisions or to their recommendations? But I'm only allowed one, so I'm going to ask if you would like to perhaps tell us about the external advisory panel.
The Waste Minimisation Fund does not have an external advisory panel, so we officers assess the applications, and then after that we have a moderation where we bring the funding team in who check over what we've done and make sure that it's all fair and consistent. I know that other funds do have external panels, such as the Climate Change Fund, and yeah, I think that's a great idea, but at the moment we're happy with how things are working now.
Perhaps if I could just add to that, if I could just remind the committee, this fund is $200,000 per annum. If we did start to bring in external advisors, I think that would really, you'd need to consider the benefit versus the value of the fund. And we do have exceptionally qualified staff who are real leaders in their field who are doing this mahi. So.
Right, thank you both. Beth, thank you for surviving your first 6 weeks with such a major sort of project. More to come for you. And Renee, thank you again for all your work. So thank you both. So that's the motion. So I'll take the motion as read, but we are going to split it into two when it comes to voting, just so you know. But does anyone have, is there a mover for the motion? I think Councillor Al-Rubi, please, sorry.
Thank you, yes, I'd like to move the paper.
Thank you, and does she speak now? Oh, do you want to speak now?
Yes, if I may quickly.
Yeah, no, you
Thank
can.
you so much. Thank you, Chair. Look, thank you all for the time today and the effort from our staff and the applicants. I really do appreciate all the time and effort put into that. I just want to make a couple of points clear that when the government changes do come around for the waste, whether it's levy funding, the waste management sort of pool, I'd love to have ample time for all of us councillors to have a look at that and what kind of opportunities we have as a council to make sure our criteria is strong and it's fair across the board for whether it's community groups or whether it's opportunities that we don't want to sort of miss out on in very niche industries such as the construction, demolition, waste management. I think it's really important that we uptake those opportunities when we have them because it is a problem and it will become a bigger one if we don't sort of look at it now and utilise that opportunity. I also would like to, actually no, I'll just leave it there. I think I rest my case. Yeah.
So Councillor Foon, do you want to second it or do you want to speak in the debate?
I want to speak in debate.
Okay, so
don't want to speak.
No, I didn't think you would. Could I have a seconder for this, please? Councillor Compton, would you like to speak now?
I'll reserve my right. Thanks, Chair.
Is there any debate? Councillor Foon.
Yeah, kia ora tātou. Firstly, I want to say that I have removed the proposed amendments and I will speak to them instead. Firstly, I really want to thank our officers for their work and I commend that we are trying something new, and I really understand that, and I love that about council because I know it's a risk that we have to take when we change. And when I first came to council, I started, my last job had been working for the Sustainable Business Network, and if I'd have seen these proposals then, I would have been so excited to see that what council was doing. I still am excited about it, but I think that over my time in council, I've really come to understand the fragility of our not-for-profits in our community groups, and actually how over time council has built a relationship with them that's a little bit like a partnership, except council is the dominating one. And so to have our groups that have grown up around council, then when we make these changes, it comes at a shock, but it also comes at a risk that we may not be able to have the ecosystem we have around us at the moment that we have built up over time. So I think that has really left me challenging this, and I just want to thank officers for your patience, because I know it's been hard, and it's been interesting with what's going on the South Coast that this has been also dominating my mind. So what I would like to see us, when we need to report better. This committee, I've been on it for 6 years, 2 terms, and there is no reporting back mechanism. So I'm asking officers to put in a system, if we're going to commit to big projects like this, that we know what the outcomes have been, but also reporting publicly, so that when tools and things are developed, that information is available to the public, that it is transparent for everybody to use. So probably the other thing is acknowledging we've got changes coming up and with the government direction, and so maybe that is a time to just check the criteria that what we have got is right, and I'm seeing support for that around the room. So I think I'll leave it there today, but I will just say that I will not be voting for the Naylor Love. I really thank Grant for coming in today. I love what they're doing, but I really do think they could be doing that themselves with a driver to save money. Waste is the easiest thing to save money on. I am considering the Warren one. I thought their application and presentation today was good, and they're a local business. I'd like to see them lead. Thank you.
Is there anyone else who wishes to speak? In which case, Councillor Rauawa, would you like to have the right of reply?
No, thank you. I reserve my right.
I now put the motion, which has been moved and seconded. Sorry. Yes, we are going to split it up. So we'll take 1 and 3 together. 1 and 3 together, and then 2 will split into 2 sections. Okay. So. Okay, I now put the motion, which has been moved and seconded. So we're going to vote in favour 1 or against 2 for numbers 1 and 3. Okay, so that's passed unanimously. Excellent. And now we'll go to... sorry. The numbering's a bit odd here, isn't it? Yes. Number 2.1. So this is agree to approve applications from Naylor Love for $35,000. That's the first one. Okay, so that has passed with just 2 against. And then we'll now move to 2.2, which is the application from Warren and Mahoney for $28,900. Excellent, passed unanimously. Right, we're making progress. So that's the end of the Waste Minimisation Fund debate, and now we move on to the decision register updates and coming reports. Please welcome James Roberts to introduce the report.
Thank you, Chair. I'll take the report as read and go to any questions.
Any questions? Great. So is there a mover for the motion? Councillor Osborne, and a seconder? Councillor Rauawa. Is there any debate? No? This is great. Right of reply? No. And I'll put the motion, which has been moved and seconded. Those in favour, please press 1. Against, 2. Another unanimous vote. Well done. I declare the motion carried. So that's the conclusion of the grants meeting. So we'll now adjourn for a moment or two to pause the live stream and return to the Social, Cultural and Environmental Committee.
So can we please welcome Sanjay Patel to introduce the report today, please?
Kia ora koutou. Firstly, I'd like to start off by thanking Liam and Rose for coming in today and presenting on a great presentation, talking about their successes for the past 10 years and where they want to go for the future. I am going to take the paper as read and happy to go to any questions.
Kia ora. Does anyone have any questions? Councillor Chung.
Thanks very much, Sanjay. Have there been any objections from people for Kaicycle operating in that area?
For the past 10 years, there hasn't been any objections that we haven't been able to sort out. From here we'll go out to public consultation as well.
Oh, great. Could I have a follow-up, please?
Certainly, Councillor Chung.
Certainly, in view of the Moa Point issue that we're having now, has there been any odours coming out of this garden? From the composting?
None that I'm aware of.
Great, thank you.
Kia ora, Councillor Abdurrahman.
Kia ora, Sanjay. They have asked some changes to the lease, and is that something operational if they want to put some structure on the land, or is that something that council needs to be aware of as part of approving this?
Yes, correct. They are operational matters that they're wanting to put on the land. We'll work through a landowner approval process on the 5 items that they're wanting to implement.
Would that mean council will be responsible for whatever structure on that land, including the maintenance of it, or later on when the lease finished to remove it, or is that going to be included in the agreement?
Correct, yep. Typically when licensees want to establish structures on their land, we make sure that when they place them on the land that they remove them as well. And that's all part of the owner approval process.
Mayor Little.
Thank you, Chair. Look, just a question, I raised it with the presenters. I just noticed the gap between the expiry of the previous lease and this one there. Is there anything we should be concerned about the fact that it's taken best part of 6 months to get the renewal for approval to this committee?
Yep, nothing to be concerned about. We were asked to pull back any papers that were of non-urgency in August last year, hence why we've come in to today.
Kia ora. And one question from me, Sanjay. Just in terms of the tenant-council relationship with Kaicycle, how are we going there? Like, do we have regular check-ins? Are they good to deal with? You know, how do you monitor the relationship?
Yeah, as you would have seen from their presentation today, we have a really good relationship with Liam and the team there. We've been working back and forth with them for the past year and a half around their licence renewal. Yeah, really good group to work with.
Great, thank you. Okay, if there are no further questions, we'll move into debate. So, is there a mover for the motion? Councillor Al-Rubai and Mayor Little, would you like to second? Yes, great. So I'll hand it over to the mover. Would you like to speak?
No, thank you.
Kia ora, Mayor Little, would you like to speak?
Gotcha. Yeah, just acknowledging the presentation we've had this morning too. This is a great initiative and incredible to see the work that they're doing. Just want to acknowledge Councillor Chung's concerns. I think the nearest neighbour to that section would be the Governor-General, and I'm sure if there were any concerns, I think the aide-de-camp would be sent down with bayonets showing, and I'm sure they'd sort things out pretty smartly. But it's good to hear that there have been no complaints in that time.
Great. I might have a little something to say. I think, you know, Kaicycle is, from what I can see, one of the best examples. We've got a community organisation that is really partnering with council, although albeit unofficially, but to deliver the outcomes that we're after. They are growing food on vacant land, they are collecting organics to grow beautiful food, they are making sure that food goes into the community. So I ask you to imagine what would one of those regenerative urban farms, which is the technical name, look like if we had one in every community? And I guess that's been something that I've been trying to work toward. It has been a challenge. The land isn't readily available, but also it is hard for these organisations to meet the demands. It doesn't suit. The working conditions are not for everybody, but those that do it are so committed, and the well-being it provides our communities delivers those broader outcomes. So I'm fully in support of seeing another, hopefully 10 years of Kaicycle on this land, but also hopefully another 10 farms over the next 10 years as well. So do seek your support. Thank you. Great. So I now put, right of reply?
No, thank you.
So I will now then put the motion, which has been moved and seconded. So those in favour, please press 1, and those against, please press 2. Councillor Young. Oh, yep, I've got you. Fantastic. Thank you so much, councillors. I'm sure they will be delighted. So I declare the motion carried, and with that, we will move into the next paper, the decision register updates and upcoming reports. Please welcome Officer James Roberts to introduce the report.
Ka pai, Chair, thank you. I'll take the paper as read and go to any questions.
Kia ora, Councillor McNulty, Councillor Abdurrahman.
Thank you. 2 from me. The first submitted this morning, maybe DEM services, but when they come in to speak, do they not need to have to speak to an item that's on the agenda, or is
Kia ora, councillors. So understanding orders for council, public participants need to speak to an item on the agenda. For a committee, that's not a requirement, understanding orders.
And then can I clarify, will the Wellington Regional Aquatic Centre continue to have single-sex or single-gender bathrooms?
So there is a renewal program for the assets in RAC. The majority of our facilities do have private changing facilities that are used specifically for families or accessible persons or other people who need privacy or assistance when getting changed or using the toilet. There are some very older facilities, such as the Recreation Centre in Kilburnie, that don't have that, but the majority of them do. So there's an opportunity for people to use a private facility all the time.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Abdurrahman? Sure. Yeah.
There is a paper coming in March in regards to the golf, the bike racks through the golf, and that was supposed to be under this, under your branch. But from my understanding, that would be moving into transport, and I don't see an upcoming report that under this committee as well. Is that right? And if not, why not?
That's a great question, Councillor. I have not got an answer for that off the top of my head. I'll need to go back and look at the terms of reference for the two committees to see whether or not there is any uncertainty around where that particular paper should land.
Question is also, that is park and recreation. Why is that going into the transport is more of my question. It's more of operational as well from your side.
So, as I understand, it's a paper that proposes putting a bike trail through the middle of the golf course. The golf course is
shared trail.
Shared trail. Sorry, my apologies. A shared trail through the middle of the through the fairway in the golf course. So the golf course is, at the moment, it's part of Parks and Recreation. It's on the reserve land. I think it's reserve land. It could be town belt, but it's one or the other. Either way, it's administered by one of my teams. So that's, for me, that was the association with it coming to this committee.
Oh, so could you confirm that this is managed by one of your teams still, not passed it to the transport team?
The actual golf course is managed by one of my teams. The proposal to put the bike trail through it is from a different team. Shared trail through it is from a different team.
Okay.
Great. Kia ora, I've got Councillor Matthews and Councillor Calvert.
Thank you. I'm just coming back to the Deputy Mayor's line of questioning, because I just want to confirm we do not have open changing facilities that are mixed gender. We have individual ones which are gender neutral, and then we have, if there are any kind of group open changing facilities, they are separated by gender.
The group one's correct, is separated by gender. That is correct, yes.
Thank you.
Great. Councillor Calvert and then Councillor Chung.
Yeah, just following on from that. So we talked about changing facilities, but what about showering facilities?
So that's the same. So there are some private showering facilities, but equally there are changing rooms which are gender denominated, which have open showers in them.
Okay, thank you.
Can I just actually make the note that the question should be about the decision register updates and upcoming reports? So thank you, Councillor Abdurrahman, for being on that. No, all good. But I respect we needed a space to discuss that presentation this morning. So Councillor Chung, if your question is about the up and coming reports and decision register.
No, my question was also about the speaker this morning regarding the toilets. Thank you.
Yeah, I think we might move on, Councillor Chung, and you can email that through. Great. Okay, so then we need to, can I have a mover for the paper, please? Yeah, Councillor McNulty and Councillor Young to second. Great. Would you like to speak, Councillor McNulty? Sorry. I'll get there.
Okay, Deputy Mayor.
No, thanks. Great, so Deputy Mayor, all good. Councillor Young, fantastic. No right of reply. Hallelujah. Right. So with that, I will now put the motion which has been moved and seconded. Those in favour, please press 1, and those against, please press 2. Kia ora. Great. Okay, so we are now at the conclusion of the meeting. I would like to thank you all for helping us move along. Councillor Young, I think we were keen to get there by 11, but 5 past, I'll take it. So we'll move into the karakia. Unuhia, 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 ki te uru tapanui, kia wātia, kia māma, te ngākau, te tinana, te wairua. I te tū, koia rongo, Eria ake ki runga, kia wātia, ai rā, kua wātia. Thank you.